I've been thinking about a couple of things. I think the thing that I should talk about that's most relevant to my channel, right, is there are a lot of people that talk about being a millionaire. I'm a millionaire, you're a millionaire, everybody's a millionaire, but what does it really mean, right? There are millionaires in different sorts of situations, and that got me to thinking, is it possible to become a millionaire on a minimum wage? If you really think through some of the implications, some of the stipulations, I think we all can agree that the answer is yes. Let me talk through that in this video. I'm Derek West, this is Finance Squared. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, click the notification bell. Let's dive right in. Well, I think the first thing that you have to do when you're in this discussion is to define what a millionaire is. How can you be a millionaire if you don't even know if you are or you aren't, right? Definitions are key. Context is key. And getting this correct is gonna lay the foundations for this discussion. That said, there could be multiple meanings to the definition of millionaire. One individual could say, you're a millionaire, but you're not. How do you define it? Well, the most common definition is someone who has a net worth of $1+ million. So that's $1 million, $1 million and $1, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, 30 billion. Technically, 30 billion is a millionaire. If you have a net worth of 30 billion, you are a millionaire. You're also a billionaire, but you're also a millionaire. But the lowest common denominator is somebody who has $1 million. And if you work through the math, you understand that that can happen on minimum wage. Now, granted, there's a very narrow window to get to that level, to get the millionaire status done and set yourself up into the right set of circumstances. What am I talking about? Well, first things first, you gotta keep your expenses low, right? So I'm talking about keeping your housing costs extremely low. And that is to say, you're gonna have to find some situation where your living expenses are as low as possible. That can mean any number of things, namely living with your parents or with a relative of some kind, or maybe sharing a living accommodation with your siblings, a close relative, something of that nature. Maybe you have a couple of roommates, 1, 2, 3, 4 roommates. You all get a property, you all split it up, you occupy individual pieces, you live there for a period of time. That is possible. Probably not the best living situation for a lot of people, I would understand. But if your goal is to be a millionaire and your skills only can take you to the minimum wage level, that is something that you can think about. But any way you slice it, you have to be living more or less rent-free, or really low rent or low ownership, as a matter of fact, to become a millionaire on minimum wage, right? A lot of people focus on getting a house and having that house appreciate $2 million+. That's a way to do it. If you're living at minimum wage, however, you're likely not going to be able to get the kind of cash to put down the down payment to avoid private mortgage insurance. You're gonna have to combine incomes with another individual, a spouse, for example, to get that kind of money. And we're not gonna dive into that sort of dynamic in this video. I'm talking about being a millionaire with a very liquid bank account, with a very liquid set of assets. Not necessarily having a house that you're gonna have to rely on a real estate agent or someone else to help to sell for you, or that kind of thing. And, make sure that the price is right and to get that $1 million out of the investment once it's hit that level. No, I'm talking about having $1 million in an account that you own. That means $1 million net worth into a savings account, into a investment account of some kind. But the other thing you're gonna have to consider is that your tax burden should be really low as well. Now that's gonna be an easy one, right? As in most jurisdictions in the United States, even in the so-called high tax jurisdictions, the Los Angeles, Californias of the world, San Francisco, California, New York, etc., et al. Ad nauseum. All of those places, generally speaking, favor the low income individual in terms of their tax burden anyway. They favor them to a large extent, and the tax burden for that tax bracket is relatively light, even at the federal tax level. Someone that's making a minimum wage, right, can expect to pay anywhere between 10% to 12% in taxes yearly. Now, not including Social Security and Medicare, and those levels can expand up to, let's say, 20% total for a minimum wage earner. Relatively light tax burden, meaning that a lot of the money that you take home from your wages, from your job, you'll get to keep. That's true in most circumstances, right? In most jurisdictions in the United States, you're never really gonna exceed 50% of your total income being taken for taxes. That's not entirely true in all jurisdictions, but in most. But in this conversation, we're talking about having a minimum wage skill set and having a minimum wage job and using that minimum wage to get yourself $1 million net worth. So living in a low tax jurisdiction, not gonna be hard for you because most jurisdictions have a low tax philosophy for minimum earners. So that's not gonna be an issue. What might be a little bit of an issue is that you're gonna have to work hard. Now, not only do you have to put in a 40-hour work week, so there's no 3-day work week or 4-hour work week, Tim Ferriss, that Tim Ferriss made famous. Nope, you're gonna have to put in 40 hours. But not only that, you're gonna have to put in overtime. Maybe you're gonna have to get a second job. But at the very least, it's gonna have to be overtime. And at least 20 hours a week of overtime. So let's start with an example. If you have a minimum wage job that pays you about $15 an hour, and $15 an hour is a common minimum wage in the United States now. I'm not sure if it's the most popular minimum wage across states. I'm sure in some very, very poor states, West Virginia, etc., the minimum wage is much less than that. But in places like New York, California, I don't think Texas quite yet, or other places like that, the minimum wage is actually getting up there. Back in the day, I remember when, and I'm a first wave millennial, right? So born in the about mid 80s, not gonna give away my exact age here, but when I applied to work at a grocery store in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, my minimum wage at the time was like $4.25. And I remember when it went up to $5, people had a conniption fit then. Now we're getting into places where $15 an hour is commonplace. Again, not sure if it's the most popular, but $15 an hour is a reasonable minimum wage that you can expect in the United States. And if not, maybe you wanna move to a jurisdiction where that's the case. But if you have a $15 an hour minimum wage and you work 40 hours a week, that's $600 a week. $20 an hour of overtime brings that amount to $900 a week. Let's do a little bit of extra math here. I understand if you're watching a video about earning minimum wage and trying to be a millionaire at the same time, you're probably not that great at math. Just one of those things, right? But I promise I'm gonna keep it light and I'm not gonna get too deep into it. But if you take a look at your 40-hour work week, $15 an hour, $20 an hour of overtime being $1.50 per hour of work. That'll bring you to $46,926 a year, which is just under $50,000 a year. That's gonna be a key number, so let's keep that in mind for the next section. With that amount of money that you just earned, you're gonna have to invest aggressively in proven growth instruments. So I say proven and I say growth instruments. Those are gonna be two key words you're gonna need to pay attention to. You're going to want to avoid speculative investments. There are a bunch of investments on the interwebs nowadays that people just love to talk about. Cryptocurrency, Forex, trading options, etc. Those are all great. And I'm a fan of each one of those instruments for growing your investments and growing your net worth and your nest egg. That stated though, if you're a type of individual who only has minimum wage skills and you are gonna look to invest those minimum wage skills to grow that net worth of yours to 1 million plus, avoid them, because if you screw them up, you're gonna lose your nest egg. And that's just me being real. Sure, there's the opportunity and the possibility that you could hit it big, but that possibility is relatively low. Keeping in mind that to be good at any one of those things, to be a good investor in any one of those areas, in any one of those instruments or strategies, you're gonna have to study intensely. And if you're the kind of individual, who has minimum wage skills and you have the capability, mental and intellectual capacity to learn how to do those types of investments well, you more than likely wouldn't need to work a minimum wage job. As a matter of fact, you could work for an investment firm of some kind with those kind of skills to help you grow your investment nest egg and the nest egg of others, which of course would be worth lots and lots of money, which would be a lot more than minimum wage. So I would say, if you're in that predicament where you only can earn minimum wage, I would say, keep it simple. I'm gonna leave the stupid part out, but just keep it simple. What am I talking about? I'm talking about simple, high growth investment instruments that are broad-based and that capture a whole economy. Think like the S&P 500 index or the Russell 2000 index fund. There's a number of firms that provide index funds that cater to that specific segment. That index that those index funds rely on has proven to generate about an 8% return year over year, every year. That number is going to be critical in a little bit, and you're going to see why I suggest that type of index in just a little bit. Once you pick that, you're going to plow as much money as possible into that growth instrument. And to do that, you're going to have to keep living expenses low, eating expenses, entertainment, transportation, taxes, all to a minimum. And whatever is left, you're going to want to just drive it into that high growth investment instrument. You're going to want to avoid low growth investment instruments. So you're going to want to avoid the very speculative investment instruments, and you're going to want to avoid the investment instruments that are not that speculative, but have a more guaranteed return. I'm talking about bonds, CDs, etc. And the key part here is you're going to have to be consistent for a number of years, not just 2, not just 5, not just 10, not just 15. I'm talking 20 plus years. Working through an example here. Of that $46,000 that we talked about a little bit earlier, if you're able to take $20,000 of that, again, by keeping your rent low, your other expenses low, and using the power of compound interest, and using the power of time, take that $20,000, the future value of that $20,000, at about an 8% growth rate, and again, assuming the S&P 500 index fund, that would mean you will have approximately $1.6 million in net worth after 25 years. So net worth is definitely possible. And keep in mind, this doesn't take into account growth in the minimum wage, growth in wages, growth in your wages at all. So you get more skills, you get better positions, and your wages grow. You know, things like raises, bonuses, found money. Maybe you win some money at the track, that kind of thing. But you know what's crazy? Most people who earn 3 times the minimum wage, who can probably afford to invest $20,000 a year, they're not gonna do that. And they will not have that much money when they retire. It's just a fact of life, unfortunately. But if you fall above prescription and minimum wage is all your skills can bring to you, you can earn that much money. But there are other definitions of being a millionaire. For example, simply earning $1 million over a period of time. Some people would consider you a millionaire at that time because you have the buying power of a millionaire. And the most common period for that metric is $1 million in 1 year. Now, earning $1 million in a year, if you earn minimum wage, is an economic impossibility for everybody who earns minimum wage. Looking at our original example, where you work 40 hours a week on a minimum wage, and that pays you $15 an hour, and you do 20 hours of overtime per week. That brings you to a grand weekly total of about $900 a week, giving you a yearly total of $46,926. If you did that for 20 years straight, 20 consistent years, you will have $1 million earned, making you a millionaire. I hear the comments and criticisms already. You're gonna say to me that you're not gonna have access to all that money. And you know what, you're right. Some of that money is gonna go to other places. For example, you're gonna be hit by 12% taxes, plus Social Security and Medicare. And that's money that you're never gonna see. Let's assume that your Social Security and Medicare is gonna be 8% on top of your tax burden. So you would only see about 80% of your money total over time. Now if you take 80% of $46,926, bringing you to a grand total of $37,450 and 80 cents in a year. That's the amount of money that you can spend in that year. Meaning, you would have to work an extra 6.6 extra years, or 26.63 years, to earn $1 million. To say it another way, to have $1 million of buying power. Again, assuming zero inflation, assuming zero increases in your income over time. That is a not unrealistic possibility. You know, the truth is though, you can be a millionaire on minimum wage, but the lifestyle that you have to live to be able to get there, with that stipulation, it's gonna be so restrictive, it's gonna be hard to pull off for just about everybody. The real thing that you need to focus on is growing your skills, growing your businesses, growing your side hustles to the point where you're earning much more than minimum wage. As a matter of fact, your income needs to grow exponentially over a period of time to make earning $1 million much, much easier. I talk about that sort of thing on this channel, so make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on. And if you got any value out of this video whatsoever, be sure to hit that like button. Keep in mind that a goal without plan is a wish. A goal with a plan and no action is a wish list. I got another video on a similar topic showing up on the screen somewhere. So be sure to click on that, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.